Welcome to the Igniting the CEO Within podcast, where we interview successful high-level professionals to discover lessons they've learned throughout their career that can help ignite that CEO within you. I'm Mark McFatridge, and I'll be your host for the next 15 minutes or so. Our show is sponsored by Quaid, a nationwide community of CEOs and entrepreneurs. Quaid has developed Launchpad, which offers an opportunity for experienced executive coaches to become licensed circle directors. After completing the Launchpad program, you'll lead your own peer advisory circles, helping other CEOs and entrepreneurs excel in their professional and personal lives while providing a community of support, accountability, and challenge. If you'd like to learn more, visit us at quaidcircle.com. I've been looking forward to this episode for a long time. I get to hang out with Debbie McCullough. She is the founder and CEO and serves as an executive communications coach for Hanging Rock out of Muskego, Wisconsin. Debbie, welcome to my show.
It's so great to be here, Mark. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm excited to learn with you today on our show.
Oh, I'm really pumped. You've had such an amazing career and background, and all that you're doing. You've had exposure to so many different types of leaders, and you've seen what separates those really excellent leaders from all the others. If you had to pin it down to one or two traits that you see routinely separates those excellent leaders from the rest of the bunch, what would those be?
Gosh, it is a great question. One or two. I would say creativity and confidence/bravery. And without those traits, I find that my leaders aren't sort of getting themselves to where they want to be.
Yeah, I like that. Well, can we unpack those a little bit? So from a creativity standpoint, is that something that you find can be taught, or is that more innate? What do you think on the creativity piece?
Well, can I share a little bit about what I do so the context
Of
lands a little
course.
bit better? So
Sure.
I work as a communications coach for Fortune 100, 500 leaders. Most of my clients are foreign born. 85% come from foreign lands, and they're all working for US companies. The Americans that I coach are self-described outliers or black sheep or rebels, which I love. And they all came from underpopulated parts of America where they needed to pull themselves up and out so they could go and fulfill the ambitions within their hearts. I coach for BetterUp, the world's largest online coaching platform. They're my premium client, but my private practice is booming as well. And when clients come to me, they're either wanting to promote, they see where they want to go, and they know their communications is not where it needs to be to get them there. They also know they have to raise their visibility, and they have to be really creative how they do it. And or they receive feedback that they can promote, provided they integrate this feedback that they've received in their performance review. And it almost always ties back to not showing enough confidence, not speaking up, not raising their visibility. So I can coach and train my clients to get exactly where they want. I'm a former professor. I taught business communications at Keenan Flagler Business School, taught journalism for 10 years as well. And I am a former reporter for The Economist, the Financial Times of London, The Guardian, Engineering News Record. I've been a reporter for some 30 years. So I have the skills and the knowledge to help them get there. But if they lack the bravery and the creativity and the courage to try new things, then their visibility stays flat, they get frustrated, and they're overlooked. So that's how it really comes to play. And I'm happy to share some stories where it's really taken off for people when they lean in on
Yeah,
those values.
I think I would love that. I think that's a great way to lead into it, because that, the question that always pops into my head is, can that be taught? How do you learn to be brave
Oh,
if you don't have that? So yeah, so I'd love to hear that.
yeah, it's a great question, Mark. So how do you learn to be brave? For me, part of it is looking at the piece they know they need to get better at. Like, let's take that feedback where they need to be more assertive in front of stakeholders or learn to not accept no from an investor, to get more comfortable at getting curious, for instance, and asking more questions, and then influencing through curiosity, storytelling, and just staying with the person versus shying away. The only way to improve and feel more courageous in that moment is to expose yourself to the fear And what I love about coaching is we can create situations that expose my clients to those fears in lower stakes situations. So when they're in the high stakes situation, it's just simply not that scary. Let's
Hmm.
take public speaking fear, another trait that people come to me with. How do I not feel so fearful? Being curious about the moments that you're most fearful gives you a wonderful sandbox to play in, because we all feel some public speaking fear. But if we can isolate the exact areas and moments where we feel it intensely, where it's completely destroying our chances of growth, then you get braver by exposing yourself to that fear. So your brain, your inner critical brain, just simply doesn't freak out and have that flight or fight response. Public speaking fear practice in low stakes environments could include something as simple as sending the French fries back if they're cold.
Hmm.
Sounds really
Yeah.
innocuous, but sending the French fries back if they're cold when the server asks, "How is everything?" And if you're from a culture of humility, like a lot of my clients are, you don't like conflict. But sending the French fries back is a really low stakes place to feel a bit more brave in disagreeing and discord. Same with public speaking. Trying to engage in stranger conversation every day. I encourage them to, those who have extreme public speaking fear, engage with a stranger every day. Compliment them, tell them they did a great job settling their kid down, tell them you love their scarf. It doesn't matter. Just practice every day until the fear diminishes. There's a lot more there. I do believe travel is a great way to become brave too. Moving away, starting anew. There's hundreds of ways, but that's just a few.
Yeah, I like that. New experiences, right?
New
It
experiences.
is a way, being around people that come from different backgrounds than you,
Yep.
and being curious.
And I do believe that those who have left everything behind and started anew, that bravery is still in you. It's never gone anywhere. Part of the journey in coaching is to remind them, hey, it never went anywhere. You say you've lost your confidence. My first question when someone tells me that is, where did it go?
Yeah, I like that.
Can we
What?
find it? Is it hiding?
Yeah. What? So yeah, you've offered some stories. Tell some stories of successes that you've had in your coaching practice.
Thank you. They're really beautiful. That's quite moving to me. So I'm thinking of a particular leader I coached at a Fortune 100 tech firm. Very frustrated, knew she could get to the top. It was a very flat org, a famously flat org whose name you'd know. And she just couldn't get to the next level. So she started to look at writing and sharing her ideas publicly through LinkedIn initially. Then she built a newsletter, and
Hmm.
then she came up with ways to share her ideas with big universities like Harvard or Stanford, and co-partnered with them to build these studies, publish them, and then when the research went public, they created a panel. Those universities, those business schools created panels and had to invite my client to it
Hmm.
because it was her research. It was her idea. Being on those panels put her with some other gurus. And so she had the collective branding of being an expert in her field with others quite significantly above her in the chain.
Hmm.
But the collective branding really helped. Also, because her writing was beautiful and she shifted from sounding corporate and jargony to actually very engaging, very insightful, she started to sound like a thought leader. So she literally wrote her way into elevating her profile externally, which helped her internally. But in the end, she was headhunted and went to a huge growth role
Hmm.
somewhere smaller, and then ultimately went on to build her own consultancy. That's one
Wow, that's
success story.
amazing.
Yeah.
What
I've had
role?
others. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to ask what role does authenticity play in that person's piece? You talked about going from speaking jargony to being engaging and that type of stuff. What role did her becoming comfortable in her own skin and authentic and being I call it unapologetically authentic? How did being her authentic self help in that way?
I can answer the question, but can I ask you what's behind the question? Why did your mind go there?
I love when you said that she shifted from being jargony, and then that had corporate jargony, and then that kind of opened some things up.
Yeah.
And that's parallel to a lot of the things that I had done in my career. And what I've seen over time is once you drop the veil and you allow yourself to be you and you're comfortable in that, it takes away a lot of the scariness, the fear of everything, because you don't have to think about those things. You can be yourself, and that is very powerful.
Yeah, you nailed it. I mean, that's exactly what happened. Once you permit yourself, you find a forum where you can be authentic. So at work, if you're a mid-level or a C-level even, you're kind of bound somewhat to the corporate speak that's aligned with how everyone else is sounding. But even in those areas, I do believe you don't have to just receive the language you've received from marketing or legal. You can
Mhm.
speak to it or have it behind you and then speak authentically. Say it how it really is. Interpret from the jargon what you take from it, or say blah, 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 which in everyday speak means this. What we're really meaning
Right.
when we say blah, blah, blah is this. And then say it like guy to guy, woman to woman, whatever. Speak in layperson terms. Once you permit, so that particular client used LinkedIn and then her own newsletter. She was using work topics to post upon, but she was writing about them in really authentic, personal ways where she took personal meaning from it, or she took a really her part of her authenticity was a very creative approach to an otherwise dry, stale topic. That can
Mhm.
build authenticity too. I think too, when I think of some of my leaders who have really propelled and gotten right to the top, they really rejected the corporate lingo. They just
Mhm.
said, like, especially if they were a giant leader in HR at a giant pharmaceutical company with multinational divisions all over the world, and there was a big restructure or reorg coming on. They had the slides behind them, but they would not speak to them. They just outright refused, and it was
Mhm.
so welcomed, and the people loved them for it. And they also came in with shorter presentations. They were supposed to speak for an hour. They refused. They spoke for 10 minutes, and then they invited questions, and the questions came in, and they were real. And that was a beautiful moment for that particular client.
Yeah, and I like that because again, once you are comfortable being you, that adds something else. But the other thing it does, especially when you have the forum to do it, is it frees other people to be themselves as well. And then it's on. And then as an organization, you can really excel and accelerate your growth and power. And the culture just becomes amazing, as opposed to, oh my gosh, I grew up in banking, right? So, originally it was navy blue suits and white shirts and very conservative ties, and that I hated that, right? And once
What
I
did you
got
hate,
out,
Mark?
just the confinement that I had to wear the same thing as everybody else, right? And it wasn't what I liked, and it wasn't what I would pick out on my own, and so I just felt constrained because I had to think about that versus versus doing what I wanted to do. And so when that freedom came, then that allowed other people to be free, which then allowed them to not have to think and just do and react and be who they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's more fun,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. Do you want more stories of bravery? Where do you want to take us?
Yeah, give me one more story and then we'll start to wrap up.
I think some of my favorite clients have just committed to something that they're really, well, I shouldn't have favorites. I should say the ones who seem to really rise and really go places are really committed to getting uncomfortable. And that's why I come back to that bravery piece. So
Hmm.
some have started writing on Substack, and some have and writing about their past and how their heritage as a Korean or a Malaysian or a Ukrainian influences them in business today, and what parts of that heritage they love and won't let go of no matter what, and then how they've transitioned in an American culture that's so famously direct and embracing of storytelling. So I love seeing them get into writing because I do think there's a catharsis that comes from a writer. Maybe I'm biased because I am one. but and some have written memoirs and published them, which I
Hmm.
think is fantastic. And then I had some who get on the big stage and get in front of thousands of people, even when we started our journey, when they were really afraid. I think another small one that's we can end with is sometimes the bravery comes just from their actions. So I'm thinking of a particular young technologist, new mum. She took maternity leave. She came back, and her manager refused to promote her or see the value of what she was doing. And my client was very frustrated. She's very ambitious. She asked for more. She heard the same. And so her actions after a few coaching sessions with me were to refresh her resume and start a search. By the time she came back 2 weeks later, she'd already had two interviews, and one of them was with Apple. She came back the third week, she had an offer.
Wow.
So not the bravery and the creative. And then so my third session with her before she moved to Apple was to come up with a conversation on how to tell her manager that she received an offer she couldn't refuse. I
Yeah.
think this is so brave, don't you, Mark?
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
and having the conversation and doing that, and then having the courage to come to coaching and work on your personal branding, get that resume ready, because you're like, you know what, if I stay here, the words that helped unlock her were, "Is this what you came here to do?" I asked her. "Are you
I
done
love
yet?"
that. That's
And she said, "No,
that's
I'm
something
not done." I'm like, "What are
we
you
should
gonna
be
do
asking that
about it?"
every day, right? We should be
What's
asking
that?
that every day. We should be asking that question every day.
Mm.
Debbie, this has been so fun. Thank you so much. Would you share with our audience how they can get a hold of you and look for you for an engagement?
Absolutely. My website is hangingrockcoaching.com. You can find me on LinkedIn under Debbie McCullough, Debbi McCullough. I'm a newly certified master certified coach, and that's where I hang out. And I'll make sure that you can find my Substack in the show notes too.
I love it. Debbie, this has been amazing. Thank you for hanging out with me this afternoon.
It was a pleasure. You have a great afternoon, Mark.
Great. Thanks, Debbie. All right, y'all, we've done it again. We found another amazing leader to share her insights. I'm so thankful that Debbie was able to join us today. As we wrap up, I want to remind you that Igniting the CEO Within is sponsored by Quade, a nationwide community of CEOs and entrepreneurs. Quade has created Launchpad, which provides an opportunity for experienced executive coaches to become licensed circle directors and significantly impact the lives of CEOs and entrepreneurs. To find out more, visit quadecircle.com. Until next time, keep igniting that CEO within you. I'm Mark McFatridge. Thanks for listening.